Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Duval Dive. Of course, I'm Kyle Nash, the student of the game of Fans First Sports Network.
And I'm Travis Home for BigCatCountry.com.
And of course, you can check this thing out on the Believe Podcast Network. Travis D. Holmes, Monday is coming. The Kansas City Chiefs return to Duval. Wow, man. Monday night games in what? This is back-to-back years? That's not supposed to happen in Duval. Like, aren't there supposed to be 2 decades before that happens again or something? Listen, if nothing else, you have seen what the juice of Jimmy Stones and Liam Coen arriving in Duval has done to get this Monday night matchup going. And of obviously getting paired with the Chiefs. Absolutely huge game. Probably the one that is going to get the most national attention on the season outside of being something postseason relevant for sure. And it's a big one in Duval, to say the least, man. And listen, I know by now, for those that have come to consume the Friday shows, the previews, we're going to get right into our keys to victory here. Get deep passing going. Travis, obviously, what is it? Trevor Lawrence hit his first pass over 20 yards in the air, completed in this game. He was over his previous 8 heading into the Sunday in question. Of course, what was it I called it? The fast twitch intellect of Travis Holmes making that catch possible. I've watched it time and again. I watched our short on YouTube, us talking about him and all that, making that catch. And that was the piece there too. But I think you need more to build on more than that. And granted, the health of De'Ami Brown and Brian Thomas Jr. will be factors here. But yeah, I mean, what else would you add to what this deep passing game needs to pull off?
Well, that's the biggest part of it, because they finally got something going in getting the Travis Hunter big play down the middle of the field. And we talked about it heading into the San Francisco matchup. Like the Jaguars' offensive struggles versus 2 high safeties is potentially problematic, and it could be problematic because we knew that was just an ongoing Trevor Lawrence struggle throughout his career. And the guys at Pro Football Focus gave us this little nugget heading into the week. Lawrence was 25th in the season in passing grade against 2 high coverage shells, and that the San Francisco 49ers played it at a top 10 rate. So they played it 10th in the league, which could limit Trevor Lawrence production. So we knew Trevor Lawrence's game wasn't incredible. It wasn't the best game. It wasn't the worst game. It was kind of just one of those, he kind of protected the football. And I say kind of, and I'm sorry to put into quotation marks, but we will get into the specifics of why I say that in just a second. But similar to the San Francisco 49ers, the Kansas City Chiefs defense under Steve Spagnuolo, they've been top of the league in those same split field coverages. So like most recently last year in 2024, the Chiefs finished 3rd in middle of the field open coverages. So middle of the field open is like cover 2, cover 4, when you have 2 high safeties at the top, basically at the snap of the ball. They played nearly 50% of their snaps, 49% in quarters, or cover 4 palms. It's kind of the staple in their defense, and they were 6th in the league in cover 2 usage last year. So overall, their quarters palm use was 2nd in the league. We're talking those 2 high safety looks, 50% of their middle of the field open coverages, and that's interesting when you're saying, all right, cool, San Francisco 49ers played a lot. Trevor Lawrence didn't have the greatest game, but it was understandably kind of a weird kind of situation like that. And now you have the next week, the Kansas City Chiefs playing it significantly. You kind of almost expect Trevor not to have a great game, if that makes sense, just because it's a known struggle for Jacksonville. So like you already mentioned, I show him as 1 of 10. We already talked about that. If you get it from Pro Football Focus, they're going to have you with one number. You get it from SIS, they have a different number because it was a 19-yard play that some people are rounding up. Whatever. 1 of 10 on passes over 20 yards in the air for the Jacksonville Jaguars. That was Travis Hunter's 28-yard catch. Trevor Lawrence also has 1 interception and a passer rating of 20%. That's the negative part of the data. Now, I'm not here to just give you the negative. I told you on the live reaction, we would talk about the positive. And we were going to get into a little bit of the less positive later. Well, this is some of that less positive.
That
Do you
realistic,
guys,
if you will.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I mean, it kind of just is what it is. Like, yeah, the more realistic part of where the truth lies. Now, do you guys happen to remember that Miami Dolphins joint practice that they had in the preseason? If you don't, we got the videotape, because shout out to Dolphins fan 201 on X. And when Trevor Lawrence overthrew Parker Washington streaking down the middle of the field against that cover 2 defense, very similar play to the Travis Hunter catch that was actually made on that, against the 49ers. And then you have the Parker Washington throw that's just off his hands, but it's actually reasonably close to being completed. Like
It's
you
a
could
tough
make
throw,
the
too. That was good coverage. Let's call that what it is as well.
right. It's tight coverage and a very good throw that's off of Parker Washington's hands. And I would even argue, if you want to compare it against the Houston Texans overthrows from Trevor Lawrence against those cover two looks, they're getting closer on the deep balls. I'm bringing that up basically just to show you guys the difference, because they seem to be getting just closer and closer and closer, getting better and better and better. But and even with all this being said, Coach Coen still mentioned in his media availability this week that there were a few missed deep throws in the game where the passes simply weren't thrown to the open receiver. They were instead checked down, so like the incompletion to where Trevor Lawrence forced it to, I believe, one of the tight ends, and Parker Washington was running wide open, uncovered on the deep crosser.
Exactly.
A lot of people went crazy on the socials on that one. Like hitting those middle of the field throws, the back shoulder throws, the sideline hole shots and cover 2, like those are going to be the key for the passing game in week 5, just like they were the key in week 4. And Trevor's going to have to be better at hitting those, and the receivers going to have to be better at catching those. Otherwise, they're going to have a major problem in the week 5, similar to week 4's game.
And let's be fair too. It's not just about that piece, though, completely accurate. And we're going to get into some of the other passing struggles that we've seen too. But I think there's a call it a chemistry element, if you will, not so much with the other players, although BTJ, Travis Hunter, De'Ami Brown, all younger dudes or new arrivals, right? So I think it's a whole thing where there's still some communication going. We're due for at least one play every game where BTJ is streaking when Trevor Lawrence is trying to get him to do something else, and there's a disconnect, right?
Man. That's a whole nother thing. Lord Jesus, that's a whole nother thing. When the back shoulder fades. Right. I didn't even get into that part of the conversation, bro. Just that's that can be a whole segment by itself, and I'm not trying to. So I'm just being clear.
Yeah, but the chemistry of it is just you the fact that you talk about you could write another book about just that. I think just adds to the complication of it over and above Trevor, struggling in those particular situations, and not to mention something we need to remember is the most valuable player for the Kansas City Chiefs. No, not Patrick Mahomes II, Chris Jones at defensive tackle, or wherever they want to put him to scare the bejesus out of you the most. I think when the coaching staff for the Jags sees the opportunity or a time in the game they want to hit a big play, I would like to see a boot, and then something where he has some sort of a lead, whether he has a pulling offensive lineman, whether it's Hines-Allen getting involved somehow, Brenton Strange being a blocker in front, and that can then release as a valve. I don't know. I don't write the plays. I just feel like a boot to get Trevor out of harm's way from Chris Jones, maybe put Karlaftis or whatever deep defensive end you're looking at in front of a blocker that's going to put him off balance, having his ears previously pinned back. Let's take half the field and dominate it, throw too many bodies, let Trevor make a decision, and hopefully then a good throw.
No, I mean, I'm with you overall. Like, and again, I'm not trying to get into the minutia of the back shoulder throws and what's happening with all of that now, all of that. But when we were talking about the whole too high safety situations, and that just brought me back to my old DB days, because I always got my notes everywhere. Like when you have the too high safeties, you're normally going to be looking at cover 4 or cover 2 for the defense. So you have holes in both of those defenses. And if you're looking at a cover 4 situation like they frequently was against the San Francisco 49ers, that sideline throw is it's going to be hard to get over the top of that corner, basically, because his responsibility is to be deep down the sideline, right? So you're normally not going to be able to get on top of him. But what you can do is get even with him, which is get level with him, like side by side. And the quarterback knows that he has deep responsibilities, so he's going to have his eyes back on the quarterback, running, looking at me, and he's not going to be able to see the ball be thrown behind him because you, the receiver, have your eyes on the quarterback. The goal is to be able to have that throw be hit you on the backside. However, if you're someone like Brian Thomas Jr., this is the short version, and you historically do not look back for the ball early when you're making your move on the cornerback because you think you're faster than him, and you may be, then you miss that open window. No, seriously, Brian Thomas is freaking fast. Like,
You're
he
right.
may be
That's my
faster,
laugh.
but
Yeah.
he's missing that hole in between the 20-yard mark where the quarterback is throwing the ball and he's making his move, and they've consistently just been off with each other, with Thomas not looking back at the ball. So that's, to me, not a Trevor Lawrence issue. That is specifically in the bucket of being a Brian Thomas Jr. issue, because he's like the primary recipient on most of those back shoulder fades.
Boy, hey, that's another reason to utilize the boot. Then let's take that off the table. That guy that's coming across the field from the other side that's gotten forgotten about, that's the connection you make while they're watching Brian Thomas Jr. do the thing. So yet another reason to boot Trevor a few times in this game. Just my 2 cents. I'll stay.
Give him the simple reads. I'm here for all the simple reads. If you want to give that to Trevor just to get him started, because he's a rhythm passer, so I think that'll be beneficial for him in that case. Also, you do that with young quarterbacks. Why you don't do that with your veteran quarterback? If it helps them just get kind of warmed up, I'm here for all of that, man. Like, make it easy.
Keep talking about Trevor's mobility too, man. I mean, come on, there's that too. So,
no, sure.
Anyway, I don't know. Speaking of mobility, I think it's a good opportunity to transition into the run game. Listen, Travis, controlling the clock. The run game is a big part of that. And the way this offensive line has been blocking, I feel confident they're really good about that. And I'm going to go ahead and show the graphic, man. Like the Jags offensive line, first in sack percentage, 2% of snaps where a sack has been allowed, which is awesome. Second in pressure percentage, pressures allowed at 21.7%. Fourth in yards before contact. Travis D. Holmes, we had just asked for them to get to the top 20. They fall. I wish they were fifth, because then I could do the Dave Chappelle fifth, but I'm sure that the Duval devout out there are happy we say fourth. It sounds wrong, but it's better for your team. Okay, that's all I'm saying. I'll say this about that though quickly, and Travis, this is the opportunity for you to flex your Robert Hainsey criticism muscle here. If there is a place you don't want to be weakest at center strength wise, it is against one Chris Jones in the middle there. That's there. I have a feeling they're going to attempt to abuse Robert Hainsey, have that matchup happen, have him demand a double team, and then have the Chiefs see if they can win outside or send a linebacker in. Allen's going to be a big deal. Not my X factor, but Allen's going to be a big deal once again to try to help on those passing downs as well. I don't know what you would add to that in particular, but the O-line doing great. That's the one thing I feel like they got to make sure that they bend but don't break.
No, I'm with you, man. And again, the rest of it's like Travis Etienne's leading the NFL, 6.1 yards a carry, tied first in the league in 10+ yard rushes with 10, third in rushing yards overall with 394. Jonathan Taylor still is number one, because he is. And shout out to Dan Griffith, Action Sports Jax, for the incredible graphic and the incredible work that he does over there. Y'all got to check that man's articles out for sure. But overall, when we're talking about the performance of the offensive line, bro, like, feel free to show them. Like, let's get this party started.
No, and you mentioned the run game in particular, but you don't have a good game, a good run game without the offensive line. And this first play in particular, Travis Etienne makes an excellent run and an excellent cutback for sure. But check out 77. Anton Harrison gets 3 dudes on this block, so you could drive the truck through it. And, after that, Etienne makes an athletic play. But this play, there's so much good here. I'm going to have to rewind this at least 3 times, right? And so first of all, on this first one here, And I know it's going to be rough for you if you're listening to this on the podcast as I attempt to rewind the tape to the right place. But on this one here, I'm going to mention Robert Hainsey kicking out here. Hi, how you doing, Fred Warner? Bah, he's cleared out the way, right? Chuka Udoba takes down a guy at the second or third level and takes care of business to make the run even bigger. Sure, it's only a corner, but pancakes are still tasty, and dang it, since I'm diabetic, this is the only way I can enjoy pancakes anymore, and I got a mouthful on this one right here. That was a good time there, too. I know I said 3 times, so I'm just going to do it once more because I pointed out the good blocks. Another pull out here. That's just unbelievable. And what an offensive line play overall, right? Those are 2 key moments here. Now, I get it that the Niners were banged up on their defensive front, and this is a different matchup, but I don't feel like the edge for the Chiefs have been playing up to snuff. Will they be more formidable than the 49ers? Surely. But for a squad that relies heavily on Chris Jones, for a squad who lost their opening game thanks to a quarterback in Justin Herbert running end around outside like Trevor Lawrence could do, I think these are things that need to be exploited. I'm not saying called quarterback runs or quarterback draws or anything like that,
but take it when it's there. Take it when it's available.
I think there needs to be special coaching for Trevor this week for those third downs where you see it, go get it.
I mean, I think I'm with you though, but I think that's going to get us into our next segment. But before I get into that, no. Just let me respond as far as the O-line talk, as far as the run game was concerned. Like, because establishing the run game is obviously a key to the game. It's a key to most football games, but especially for this Jacksonville Jaguars team. But we talked about the fact that San Francisco, we talked about the fact that the Chiefs love to play these too high looks or too high safety looks. Well, how do you beat too high safeties? In the words of the great James Coen from then Media Group, you play MF ball, mother effer ball. You play. And I only say that because I'm trying to watch my language. But the NFL is played, and all levels of football are played with 11 players on the field. That means they're either going to have more guys in coverage or more guys rushing because you've got an odd number of players, or there's going to be more guys to the left or more guys to the right. And your job is to not put the ball where all the MFs are. That's the gist of it. So the Texans were one of the first teams to consistently challenge Jacksonville with an extra defender in the box. Because most of the teams played them with more too high safeties. So they effectively said to the Jaguars, hey, man, our DBs are better than your receivers, and we're daring you to beat us deep in the passing game. And they added the extra 8th guy to the box, and they made the Jaguars struggle at running the ball. The 49ers struggled specifically trying to stop Jacksonville's run game because they were trying to play those base too high coverages, which means you have an extra guy in the secondary to help with the passing game, which makes it hard for you to stop the run. And the Jaguars, Travis Etienne put up, 129 yards rushing because they kept consistently. If you look at most of those explosive plays that happened against the San Francisco 49ers, they were against too high safeties. The Jaguars see that, and it's like free money. Your mama ain't ever tell you you don't walk by money on the ground. You don't walk by when there's free money to sit on the ground. You stop and pick it up. To Liam Coen and the Jacksonville Jaguars run game, if you see too high safeties, that's free money on the ground. Now you're gonna take them 3 yards. And that's what MF ball is. It's saying there's more guys back there, run the ball, or there's more guys down here in the box, pass the ball. And you're gonna win more often than not. Like, that's kind of how they're operating right now.
I mean, Travis, where are you coming from? It's not like it led to a 46-yard touchdown run immediately after a turnover against a team that said could compete in the NFC West. Not that I'm mentioning any particular examples, but yeah, no, I go where they ain't, simply put. No.
Yeah, go where they ain't.
Which is a big game, James, too, while we're at it. My bad for not giving you a call sooner, sir.
James Coleman, then Media Group. That's that guy, man. Legend. But no, overall, like, that's what I'm talking about. Like, it's if you can do that, if you can control the clock, you control the flow of the game, as Coach Liam said on Monday in his presser, then you have the ability to continue in controlling the game, and you can then win ugly. You can win gritty, and you can like it. And that's actually our third key to victory is winning gritty. Like, because I mentioned winning gritty and embracing the ugly wins, because that is honestly, you're stealing the calling card of the 2024 Kansas City Chiefs.
25 Kansas City Chiefs. Let's be honest. This 37 points, whatever it was against the Ravens is an anomaly because the Ravens defense, they bad. They bad.
It's so bad.
So I mean that
That's
38
actually
points.
fair.
Yeah, it's the highest points they've scored the past year. Travis, I said it going into week 2 years ago, just when they were about to come into Duval last. The Kansas City Chiefs are a defense-first football team. This is a gritty bunch. This is what they do. You have to out-gritty Kansas City. And to your point, there are elements that make me think this Jags team can do that.
Elements, yes. I think I'm with you. The elements exist. I'm thinking that this is a game where both teams are going to be very happy and very comfortable in just running the ball, getting 3.5 yards per rush. And I didn't say 4, 3.5. Just getting me to manageable down and distances on 3rd and 7, 3rd and a long 3. A long 2, and just being comfortable with that and comfortable punting the ball and ending every drive with the field goal or the punt or whatever. Like, this really does feel like one of those games where if I get the ball last, I feel like I can win. And we know that's what Pat Mahomes does. I mean, they did that all in 2024 season. And if you're comfortable saying I'm the team that lost the Super Bowl and they win ugly pretty religiously, and now the Jacksonville Jaguars are trying to do something very similar. They want to be the same thing, but they don't want to be the same thing, if that makes sense. Like Trevor Lawrence, like we already talked about, is Ryan Michael on X. Like he's put the stats out. Basically, Trevor Lawrence through 4 weeks is 30th in passer rating, 26th in yard per attempt at 5.9. He's 31st in completion rate, 58%. 24th in TD rate at 3% and 24th in interception rate at 2.8. Like, it's not pretty for the passing game under Trevor Lawrence. And again, that's not just a Trevor Lawrence stat. It's just being honest about what it is. It's got to be better, but you can make the exact same argument for Pat Mahomes, which is crazy to me. You can make the literal same argument. Yeah,
and he started slow multiple years.
Is not pretty.
Yeah.
Right.
It and define pretty too. Like you said, runner up, and it's been what 3 years ago that he's won a Super Bowl. So yeah, it's not like he's bad at his job. No one is saying that, but he's asked to do a lot for the Chiefs, and I think that's the key, right? If one time Patrick Mahomes II does one element a little bit less good, that's when you get your opening, right? And I get it. They got Xavier Worthy back. I keep hearing about Hollywood Brown. And usually their leading rusher is Patrick Mahomes II, unless it's Xavier Worthy on some trickeration that Andy Reid pulls out, right?
Yeah,
listen, the way,
Kareem Hunt, etc.
All that, right? So I think it's a scenario where you can force mistakes if you put Pat Mahomes II in position to do that and don't give him an out. Certainly be careful about what he's going to do with Travis Michael Kelce, right?
Sure. Yeah. But when I say, it's ugly because you see his games. Everybody every time someone has the conversation about Trevor Lawrence's inaccuracies or something like that, someone brings up Pat Mahomes, guaranteed. Every time they're going to bring it up. And I'm like, yeah, but Pat's a mutant. Like, we know Pat's a mutant and he can make some insane throws and he's going to miss 3 or 4 or 5, whatever it is, like every game. And that's fine because he's built up the cachet to say, I'm going to win this game in the end nearly every time. And he, for the most part, does. And we talked about it on Locked On Jaguars with Tony Wiggins. Like, hey, maybe that's the aim for Trevor Lawrence. It may not look pretty, but it doesn't have to be. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect as long as you can find a way to get the W somehow, some way. And I'm okay with that for the moment with Trevor Lawrence and this Jacksonville Jaguars passing game. But while I do hope it does, I hope we do see that ceiling that we've seen from Pat Mahomes to be like, he can do it. But for the moment, I'll take those W's and we'll figure out the rest later, if that makes sense.
By the way, I'm glad you're using the word gritty because we've seen too much dirty. The penalty count is way too damn high. The penalties are too damn high. You can't be coming out with double-digit penalties against Patrick Mahomes II and expect to win the bleeding football game.
We've said this every week. We've said this every week, and they still keep getting double-digit penalties or 9 or something close to it and finding ways to win. So I'm not even sure what they can't have. And I don't even know what they can and can't do at this point. I'm being real with you, bro.
But hey, you can't break your back and give Patty Holmes more times to do it. That's what I'm saying. It's simply
what? Pause. My boy said, "What? You can't break your back and let Pat Mahomes do it."
Yeah, you can't give Patty Holmes more chances to break your back by committing stupid penalties or whatever. Don't pause me.
All right,
You know I'm
cool,
right.
cool.
You just want to use the graphic. I know it's a cool graphic. I'm not mad at you. For those that are on the podcast, check it out on the YouTube channel. There, it's a cool graphic. He's right.
Oh man, but also like getting into the rest, man. Hey man, Jaguars.
Somebody's still hurt from the previous matchup in Duval. Good God.
You gotta win the second half of games, man. Like
particularly the third quarter.
It's funny because the third quarter is a problem. For those who listening on the audio, showing the point differential by quarter since week 1 of the NFL season, where the Jacksonville Jaguars have a +4 point differential in the first quarter, +35 in the second quarter, -3 in the third quarter, and -12 in the fourth quarter. So they're -15 points in the second half of games in the 2025 season so far. Just what are your knee-jerk reactions on that, man? What is your thoughts on that?
I mean, for me, for the fourth quarter, it feels like, well, you know what it is? This defense keeping them in games. That's what it is, right? No, but for the fourth quarter, I think a lot of that is because the Jags are running the ball or trying to control the tempo. We're also not seeing a good 6 points in there. For example, that would be in there from Cam Little's contribution, kicking the ball, right? Yeah, but I feel like they either were getting blown out. I shouldn't say blown out. They were either struggling to move the ball, forcing it through the air against the Bengals, or they were trying to run the clock down in the fourth quarter with a healthy lead in the case of both the Panthers and the 49ers. The Texans game, that was just a slop fest. I don't even know what to make of that silliness.
Okay.
But
so you're thinking the Jaguars were in control and they were fine letting teams score just to milk the clock down, but not. Maybe that's not the Bengals game for the obvious reasons.
Correct.
That's obviously something different. But
right.
You're just thinking that the Jaguars were in control, so they were just kind of finding ways to allow it to keep going. But they also, you could make the exact same argument that they took their foot off the gas. And that allowed teams to come back and put their wins at risk. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what the third quarter is for sure, too. But those two things combined tell me that. Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I thought it was interesting because Dan Griffiths, I believe, put out a tweet that said, Brian Thomas Jr. does not have a catch in the third quarter of the 2025 season so far. So in 4 games, he has 0 catches. So that's probably why the team is a lot slower coming out halfway in every game. So obviously getting him started is a big part of that conversation. Trevor Lawrence also being very inaccurate in that third quarter has also been a problem.
Yes.
I believe it was multiple games where he was either 1 of 6 or 2 of 7 or something along those lines in third quarter. So it's a little bit of everything. It's not like one thing where you're just like, hey, they're coming out after halftime struggling for fill in the blank reason. But also I would make the argument that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were very good. I mean, top 3 in the league at scoring on the opening possession, and the Jacksonville Jaguars have taken up that same mantle and kind of been pretty consistent. So they're good on scheduled plays. They're good on the plays where they practice them all week and they those first 15 card sheet, and then they get after halftime and it's like, oh, they're just off.
I wonder if there's an element, Travis, where guys come out scripting a solid game plan and doing all the things and coming out great, and that's awesome. Fast starts are big in the NFL. I'm not cheapening that, but I wonder if Liam Cohen's next step is to not be stymied by halftime adjustments, but prepare for them and adjust for potential adjustments. Maybe that's
how Bill Belichick them used to do. I believe they said they used to have like 2 game plans. Like they literally built a second game plan, and no matter what was happening in the game, they were going to do the second game plan unless they were just destroying the team. And then they just like, maybe we'll keep with it and we'll just bring it out at a different point in the game. But I just thought I don't know why most coaches don't do that. If that's truly the case. That feels obvious to me.
I don't know that that's exactly what I'm saying, but it's in the right breadth, right? Like once they've seen what you're doing and you've seen enough in the first half of what they're trying to do, and you can see better what they adjust. Like maybe a second game plan that you put together throughout the week makes sense, but you don't know exactly what they're coming out with or how they're responding yet. Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. But
Yeah.
I think there's elements of those two things I'm kind of putting together here.
No, I got you.
Yeah.
No, I'm with you, bro. So yeah, I got nothing else really to talk really on that one, but the next point was protecting the ball. And I know you're like, well, Travis, no, they did protect the ball. Trevor Lawrence, didn't throw an interception. They didn't fumble.
No sacks allowed.
Yeah, no sacks allowed. Like I think that they did a good job protecting the ball against the San Francisco 49ers. And I would argue, no, they didn't. They just didn't pay for those turnovers because the Jaguars did have multiple turnover worthy plays. And for those who didn't see the game or just don't remember what I'm referencing,
Pepperidge Farms, remember.
Second drive, I believe, of the game, the first drive of the game, the Jaguars nearly threw an interception to Fred Warner. He just didn't catch the interception. It was off of both of his hands that was tipped off the ball to the tight end. I believe that was Hunter Long. Then later in the second quarter, there was another tip ball off of the back. It was thrown on the back shoulder to Britton Strange. That was also should have been intercepted by Fred Warner. You have an out route that's thrown by Trevor Lawrence with the against quarters coverage with the linebackers striking underneath Parker Washington. And at the time the ball was thrown, I thought it was a pick six. I honestly did. And because this linebacker has Parker Washington at the time the ball's thrown, he's 2 yards underneath and streaking to the sideline. I thought it was an interception. It ended up only being a knockdown, but that could have been a third potential turnover worthy throw. And then you actually have the interception that is called back by the referees for pass interference. And again, I'm pro Jacksonville, I'm pro the team and everything else, but I'm also a defensive back at heart and in past life. And that was a bad call. It should have been an interception. I'm just being real with you.
Man, I don't know. You tug on that jersey like that.
That boy ain't tug on nothing. That boy ain't tug. That DB did not tug on nothing. What are we talking about? He touched this dude. He touched him. He didn't move Travis Hunter.
Your fanhood is shining here, my friend. No, listen, and here's where I'm going to meet you in the middle. I don't think that flag gets thrown if it didn't result in a potential turnover. If it was just an interception, I don't think they throw that because
it shouldn't matter.
It looks relatively tame.
It's a normal football play. It's a normal football play. He touched
on his jersey.
Pass interference is not touching a guy. Pass interference is actually like moving him or making it so that he cannot make a play on the ball.
And that's exactly what that tug does. It stops him from making that cutout in a crucial moment in the route.
So what happened, in my opinion, of the interception play, if you look, especially if you look from the angle behind the quarterback, is Travis Hunter is sitting down in front of the defensive back, and at the same time the ball is being thrown, Trevor Lawrence is assuming Travis Hunter is going to be sitting in that spot. So when he throws the ball, he thinks Travis Hunter's staying where he is, and Travis Hunter is going to be able to use his body to shield the defensive back from making a play on the ball. So he throws it to the left-hand side of Travis Hunter. You're right if you're looking at the screen on YouTube, on Duval Dive YouTube. And that's what happens. So when the ball's let go, he's thinking that Travis Hunter's shielding the defensive back. Travis Hunter's actually drifting upfield instead of using his body to box out the receiver. So he goes upfield, the defensive back's going downhill. And that's what allows the defensive back to be able to make the play. It's just these guys getting on the same page. So again, that's not me saying that this is a turnover-worthy play for Trevor Lawrence. It's a turnover-worthy play for the Jacksonville Jaguars passing organization, the passing operation, which includes Trevor Lawrence and Travis Hunter just not being on the same page. But
another chemistry piece, right?
That's where I'm headed at when I say this. Again, it's not a knock on Travis Hunter specifically. It's not a knock on Trevor Lawrence specifically. It's a knock on the operation between all of those guys not being on the same page. And they kind of have to get on that same page if this is going to work. And this is the same conversations we've said for 4 weeks. And we will continue to say so because we know the ceiling for these guys is higher than what we're seeing right now, unfortunately.
100%. And I mean, the real unfortunate thing about that, now that almost interceptions occurred, for your take as a DB, you're certainly going to get another text or tweet from Jason Trent, Jaguars United, calling you a Niners fan at this rate. So
telling me I am a Niners and or Chiefs and or whoever the
Hey,
Jaguars
welcome
are
to the
playing against
faithful,
fan,
Travis. There
because
you
I have a whole podcast talking about all the positives, and then we have another podcast talking about all the negatives, so we can try to balance the conversation. That's the whole point of this, is to make you, the Duval Devout, a smarter fan base and not just someone who can
go. It's
carry whatever
already
the.
smart amongst you Duval divers. I'll tell you
But
what.
that's the Duval dive. Yeah, the Duval. If you listen to the podcast, you're probably one of the smarter, like, of the Duval devout, because we are trying our best to have balanced conversations. Because frankly, just being real. All right, this is not even part of the show. This is just me talking to y'all. Folks get pissed off at people in the media all the time about, oh, well, you guys always tell us all these good things, and then this team comes out and they stink, or you tell us all these bad things, and the team, like, well,
You're
you,
haters.
you get pissed off when they tell you the truth, and then it comes to pass. But at the same time, you get like frustrated with us if we tell you what we believe is going to be the case, and it's just not. Like, there's no win there, if that makes sense.
See, this is
And that's it.
the punishment we are. We try to get them both.
So we try to tell you everything we're seeing. We'll have a whole pod tell you all the good, this is what we saw, and they'll have a whole pod to tell you this is all that we saw, and then you make the decision. That way you can't say, well, now you guys are just you fed us the teal Kool-Aid, because you only gave us all the smart, all the good stuff, and that's why we thought Tank Bigsby, or we thought this player or that player was going to be incredible, and they were just fine in their rookie season or whatever. Now we're trying to make sure we have a balanced conversation to give you all the parts of the takes, but just getting back into that's my side tangent over this part from the media side of
Yeah,
things.
get off this topic. Pretty soon I'll be
um,
about to ask you what flavor teal Kool-Aid is, but go ahead.
some kind of blue. I don't know, man.
Blue raspberry. Duh. Next
But
question.
I just thought this was great because, again, we're talking about protecting the football, because you're playing a team like Pat Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs, and you don't give those guys opportunities to make explosives or just get extra points on the board, because then you normally won't recover from that. And the Jacksonville Jaguars are doing very well at taking the ball away from the from their opposing teams, and you have to hope that they will be able to do the same thing in this Kansas City Chiefs matchup, because they have 13 turnovers in 2025. And that's the most that they've had in Jaguars history since 1997, when they had 11 in the first 4 games. They had 10 in 2017 and 10 in 1999. Like, the Jaguars are right now on a pace that is unable to be matched. Like, we just haven't seen this in franchise history. And as it currently stands, per NFL research, the Jaguars are only one of 3 teams in the last 30 seasons with 3+ takeaways and fewer than 400 total yards in each of their first 4 games of the season. And the other 2 teams were the 1996 Green Bay Packers, who won the Super Bowl, and the 2002 Philadelphia Eagles, who lost the NFC Championship game. So, like, this Anthony Campanelli's group is wild right now. Like, they are balling, man. And I don't.
It's high praise. Yeah.
It's insane praise. And those are our main keys to the victory. Our main keys to victory for the Jacksonville Jaguars. But also, I think we should give them a bonus one. How you feel about that?
I mean, listen, it's the Chiefs. It's Monday night. It's a big game in Duval. Why not? What are we talking about here, Travis?
Well, I mean, of course, we got Pat Mahomes is a freaking mutant. Like, I think we know this is true, and whether or not we want to acknowledge it, it kind of is what it is. Like, Pat Mahomes is something different, and you're not going to be able to beat this guy if you're just trying to say, I got to pressure the quarterback. We hear that every week. Pressuring the quarterback is key. Pressuring the quarterback, and I'm like, dude, that's great. You can pressure Pat Mahomes all day, and it don't change a doggone thing, because this dude is freaking incredible against pressure. And since he's been in the league, he has a 73 QBR quarterback rating, which is first in the league. First in the league in passing touchdowns, while inside the pocket. First in the league is touchdown percentage. First in the league in first down percentage. This is all inside the pocket. Keeping him in the pocket, even if he's under pressure, does nothing, because he is just that dang good. And it's not about keeping him under pressure, because he's cool under pressure. It is simply about whether or not you can sack him. You can't pressure him enough. That's going to change the fact that he is dang good, and you're going to have to be able to get him on the ground. So that's what it's going to come to. I know it matters a lot, for Jacksonville Jaguars fans, because then we normally like you have a guy like Trevor Walker or Josh Hines-Allen who maybe doesn't have as many sacks, but you always point to that pressure rate. And I'm like, we played against the Chiefs enough times in the past to know we can have 7 pressures in the game and he still throws 4 touchdowns. Like, like that, it doesn't matter. He is just so good at avoiding pressure and knowing when a blitz is coming and buying extra time by drifting to the right, drifting to the left, or even like for those who can't see, he's under pressure right now on the highlight and he rolls out to buy extra time and then throws an impossible throw across the field that ends up being caught for a touchdown against the New York Giants. He does a very similar situation when he's under pressure in the pocket. That counts as a pressure, 2 pressures on the same play, and then throws it down the field and gets a pass interference penalty because why not?
And outright missed tackle. Let's also count though there too for those who are watching or listening to the audio pod. 5-1 has him in his grasp and doesn't finish the job. You cannot do that.
Fair, but he gets blitzed by the Ravens, and he just backs away from the pressure to allow himself more time to make the play. He knows he's going to get hit. There's a 6-man rush, and he just buys a few seconds to make the great throw to his tight end. And it's like, dude, you can't beat this guy. Like just getting pressure.
Also, Travis,
but where you can beat him is getting your hand on the ball of the defensive line. Mason Smith, shout out to him, causing the interception from Devin Lloyd against the 49ers. Getting your hand up, making the tipping balls, allowing the turnovers in that way, that will help you significantly in also getting him down to the ground. So it's pressures. We don't care about those this week. I'm sorry, to being real with you. We don't. Pressures don't matter. Sacks, tip balls, turnovers, find a way. Those are the ways that you're going to beat someone when you know that they just are playing on another level. And Pat Mahomes in the pocket, he is the king of pocket management. He might have struggles wherever else, but in that area, that man is that dude, man. He just is.
And this is what's tough about it, because in doing all of that, the biggest thing we kind of glossed over there is the lack of pocket integrity from the defense, where he can freely roll whatever direction to escape. What do you do about that, right? I can make the argument that as far as trying to contain Patrick Mahomes II, if the Jags idea is to make sure that he's contained in the pocket and can't roll and is forced to make a tougher throw or what have you within a pocket, not that anybody should be wanting to miss Trayvon Walker, but I'll say this: getting a Duuuval swoot type on the end and concentrating more on that pocket integrity, or at least on that side, so you can have Josh Hines-Allen focus on getting the sack, is going to be perhaps a smarter thing to do than try to have that side of the line pin their ears back. Because the last thing you need is to give more runway to Pat Mahomes as he's attempting to escape JHA. That's trouble you don't need. So I think to this stance, missing Trayvon Walker always will suck. But with that in mind, I think this is the opportunity to use whoever's on that side to run a pocket integrity edge rush, kind of like the Jags did last week and the week before, or needed to do better against CJ Stroud, but they certainly had Brock Purdy contained, right?
Yeah.
So
doing a lot more cage rushing, because you're going to have to, because Pat Mahomes he's very comfortable rushing to pick up those first downs and pick up those empty yards. Like we were talking about,
he's the leading rusher, you know?
Yeah, like we were talking about on Wednesday's Duval Dive, that we like to see that more of that from Trevor Lawrence, picking up those empty yards. That is what Pat Mahomes will do religiously, and also run down the sideline and pretend to go out of bounds and not go out of bounds, and all of those quarterback protection games. So absolutely, that is something that you have to be aware of, and that maybe end up being a reason why the Jaguars do more of that cage rushing, like Trevon Walker used to do in college at University of Georgia. So I'm here for all of that, bro. Do you want to get into the X factors, or you want to get into the game preview?
Well, I think my X factor ties in nicely to all of it, but I'm gonna go with this. I loosely mentioned it. Duuuval Smoot and that edge rush containing Patrick Mahomes II is my X factor as it would stand, right? Let's find another way. Yeah, deal with it. Smoot's my X factor, okay? I'm pro Smoot now. Kyle got it wrong. Feel better? No.
Yes.
But no, we don't have to talk about your Lou Fortner take. I'm joking, obviously. But to me, that's the X factor out right there. I have another one, but let's see if you go in the direction, because I think let's see which player you call out. What you got?
Well, also know I know the Chiefs don't really like to give help a lot, so that's going to be a real interesting when you have a situation where you got Jawan Taylor on the other offensive line, and he's a solid offensive tackle. Like, I don't want to demean his skills just because he used to play for the Jacksonville Jaguars and no longer does. Like, he is that, but historically, when Josh Hines-Allen gets an opportunity to play against whether it's Cam Robinson or Jawan Taylor, he normally has pretty good games. But again, we're talking about the differences of pressures versus sacks. Hines-Allen got it. That's my guy. You were looking at the opposite edge. I'm looking at the main guy, because the main guy got to play like he's the main guy. We just talked about the fact on Wednesday's Duval Dive that the Jacksonville Jaguars don't have the level of top players like a Pat Mahomes, who's a top quarterback, or a Kelsey, who's a top tight end, or a Chris Jones, who's a top defensive lineman, right? Well, the Jacksonville Jaguars do have a lot of players who are really good players and have that potential to be top guys. Well, this is the type of game when you need a Josh Hines-Allen to play like a top guy, not like a top 10 top guy. I don't know. I mean, like a top guy, like a top 2-3 guy, and get Pat Mahomes on the ground. That means abusing Jawan Taylor. That means making him get those false start penalties that he's used to getting, or those illegal formation because he's tying up just too far off the line of scrimmage, because he's thinking about how quickly you're going to get to his quarterback. All those things need to take place for the Jacksonville Jaguars to win this game. I believe he has the ability to. I need to see him close the door and maybe even get that sack record, in Duval on Monday on Trevor Lawrence's birthday.
Good call out, because it's not fair to expect Creed Humphrey in that interior O-line for the Chiefs to be giving up a whole lot. That tends to not be what they do. That Super Bowl, the most thing that was crazy for me is how crazy Jalen Carter went and how bad a game that interior line did against him. That's just how much of a beast Jalen Carter is for the Eagles. I say all of the above to say, I like what Eric Armstead's been doing. Mason Smith is developing finally, it looks like, right? That's not where you're going to win. Bat the ball down. I think that's a good thing to do. But to your point, let Jawan Taylor hurt him with penalty yards. And hey, listen, the best way to beat Patty Mahomes is to put his team in a situation where they're doing it for you. I can agree with that. I almost brought in Travis Hunter and his defensive performance being an X factor here, because whether it's Hollywood Brown, whether it's Xavier Worthy, those two guys, neither of them can have big plays.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's fair, but I just don't know. That's what makes it harder to say Travis Hunter specifically, because I just saw a whole game where I thought Travis Hunter was going to play more and he didn't, and they played Monteric Brown instead. So I can just be like Travis Hunter or Monteric Brown or Jarian Jones, or
going to run the ball like that. They're not worried about Travis Hunter's ability to tackle here.
I hear you, but I'm saying that's still me assuming that was the reason that he didn't play, and it's not some other reason that has to do with Diami. That has nothing to do with Diami Brown not playing at the time, or
you're talking about offensively now, yeah.
Exactly. That can be so many more reasons. But in my head, like, this may be another game where Travis Hunter plays a lot more snaps on both sides of the field, or maybe not. Maybe they view Monteric Brown much higher than we even know, and the reason that he was playing is because he simply is someone that they view up there, especially entering a contract year for him. Like, I don't know, but it's all assumptions at that point. So that's the reason I say I couldn't say Travis Hunter, just because I don't know how they feel, even though I might have my own theories.
So, but speaking of assumptions, let's get these score predictions out here, because I'm going to make
no, not yet. Not before we talk about the comparisons of the teams.
Oh, I thought you were that's fine, because part of our pick. No, do the thing.
Well, because both teams score basically the same points per game. Like, the Kansas City Chiefs average 24.3 points per game, and the Jaguars average 24 points per game. So Chiefs are 14th in the league, Jaguars are 17th. Just because 0.3 points per game.
I didn't know that was a thing. That's insane.
Yeah, the Chiefs have 238 passing yards, which is 12th in the league. Jaguars are 20th at 211. Chiefs are 19th in the league in rushing yards with 110 per game, and the Jaguars are 4th in the league with 144. Duval, let's go. The Chiefs have 10 sacks on defense, which is 14th in the league. The Jaguars have 7, which is 23rd. I didn't know it was that low, actually. Man, that's something. And the Chiefs have 3 interceptions, with this 10th in the NFL. Jaguars have 9, which is first. So there's your comparisons of the tail of the tape. Now you can have your game preview picks for the guys over at NFL.com, Mr. Nash.
Can you help me with these dudes that think this game is going to go into the 50 scoring range? I just don't see that. And by the way, I'm 2 for 2 on people thinking it's going into 50 being on drugs and nailing that. But I will grant 26-21 was a higher point total than I had last week. But you putting up these two teams averaging 24 points ish per is fascinating. Both have played, I feel like, their share of teams with questionable defenses, and both their share of with better defenses, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
So for the audio listeners, we have the NFL.com media analysts. When you have 4 of the analysts pick the Jacksonville Jaguars to be the winning team, with a high of 23 points and a low score of 20 points. So basically, they're saying the Jaguars, if they win, they're going to score in that range of 20 to 23 points. You have 6 analysts. Yeah, you got 6 analysts who say the Kansas City Chiefs are going to win with the high scored in the range of 27 points. And the low scored in 20 points. So they're saying 27 to 20 range, with, again, 6 analysts for the Chiefs, 4 analysts for the Jaguars. Where do you land, sir?
Yeah, Bucky Brooks going 23-20, MJD going 2017. I said I was on the other day with my guy Wildcard Lamar and Chris Style on the IOW Sports Network. I said 20-17 Chiefs in that game, with reserving the right to change my mind after further analysis going into this Friday edition of the Duval Dive. Man, it's funny that the analyst that has 51 points total, his name is Shook, because that got me shook that you would even think that's possible. I said 2017 the other day. I am going to lift that spirit a bit. I'm going to go 24-21. I have the Chiefs, but it's going to be a scenario where there is an opportunity to win the game and a costly penalty ruins it for the Duval.
Interesting. So you have Chiefs by what? 6?
3.
By 3. I'm sorry.
24-21.
24-21. Okay, and I have the Jaguars 24-17. I think it's going, but I think that they're going to have their issues that they always do. But I also think the Chiefs also have their issues equally often. Like, the more Chiefs games I watch, the more I'm just like, oh, both of these teams are really like doing the Spider-Man meme, looking at each other. They are really similar in a lot of ways, and because of that, I'm just like, yeah, the Kansas City Chiefs got Xavier Worthy back, but I don't think that that's what the Baltimore Ravens game was truly indicative of. It was the fact that they couldn't keep running the ball like they wanted to, because their defense was just so bad at stopping the Chiefs' offense. The Jaguars don't have that problem. They actually are reasonably solid. I think both teams want to continue running the ball. I think that's going to result in it being a lower scoring game. Both teams being just efficient on the ground and not necessarily splashy. And I think the Jaguars defense is actually built well to man up on these guys. Not playing a lot of man coverage unless it's a money downs, but I just mean like in the coverage, being able to kind of run with these guys, all these speedsters. So because of that, that's a reason I would say maybe Travis Hunter will play more, just because they got so many guys who can fly. Montero Brown can't really fly with a lot of those guys that way.
Yeah, I don't know that they do this in the NFL anymore, but part of me wonders if you just stick Travis Hunter on Hollywood Brown and shut down that big threat off the bat.
If you're a man team, you can do stuff like that. But if you are a zone team like the Jacksonville Jaguars
exactly,
you aren't going to do it unless you're just in those money downs on a 2 minute 2-minute situation where you have a guy that needs to be erased and you can play zone behind it and the combo coverages, maybe you'll do it in that route.
Right.
And that's a good way to use him in that way. So again, I got the Jaguars winning this thing by 7. I think it's going to feel closer, and I think they're going to be able to just kind of extend it late in the game. I think they play one of their cleaner games, at least at home. And I think the folks in Duval will be very happy with it. And this is actually a head pick. This isn't a heart pick. I tell you, I always let you know when I have a bias. And this is actually where I think the game is going to go in my head. This is not like me hoping about it. I just think this Jacksonville Jaguar team matches up moderately well with what the Kansas City Chiefs do well, because they both want to play the same game. And I think it works out better for the Jaguars if they don't make those bonehead mistakes.
I feel like, and it's funny, even though the differential is only 4 points difference with what we're doing, I feel like your scenario, when I hear your score, it lends me to think that both sides got a turnover, and
Sure.
both failed to convert for very different reasons, mind you. One is the Jags defense just gutting it out and, stymieing Patrick Mahomes II for a bit. But the other, the Jags need to not shoot themselves in the foot. I know we touched on penalties already, but for me,
man.
I am not confident that they did a great job turning turnovers into points against the 49ers. I don't see
17-0.
Yeah, exactly. I don't see, and what was it? They had 3 turnovers. I don't count the 4th because it sealed the game, right? All 3 turnovers, they got points off of it, period.
And the turnover on downs, right?
Correct. So yeah, that I know you count that way too, and I'm not against it, but that's just not part of my analysis, and that's fine. But the punchline being, I just don't. I'm not as. I don't think Chris Jones lets them get 17 points off of turnovers.
Sure, maybe not 17. Let's go with 10 off turnovers. So they're gonna have to drive the length of the field, or special teams will come into play again.
That's a great day for you if they get 10 points off turnovers, because that guarantees that there's more than one. There you go.
Oh, fair point.
So
you can find all of our writing. All of my writing covering the Jacksonville Jaguars at BigCatCountry.com. If you haven't been over to the new Big Cat Country website since maybe the older days, definitely go and take a look. It's significantly different. It's way different. The whole new staff is dope. All the writing that we're doing is just incredible. And like, again, whether it's the pressers, we're giving you takeaways from there. We're giving you the updates from the rookie class. We're giving you the injury updates from the roster. And most importantly, we're giving you our post-game recaps, the live blog during the games, and also our rewatch article, letting you know everything that we saw on the game tape after the second or maybe even the third watch. So definitely going to take a look over there at BigCatCountry.com. If you are still listening on the Duval Dive YouTube, please click that like button. Please click subscribe. Help us out. Like, again, it may not be a lot to you, but it helps us out tremendously with this algorithm. And just help us keep this thing growing, man. So let us know where you can be found, sir.
Of course, I'm Kyle Nash, the student of the game. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky at the SOTG. Check out my work with the Fans First Sports Network covering your Jacksonville Jaguars, as well as the Orlando Magic, with whom I did Media Day this past Monday. So check all that out. Of course, the aforementioned revamped site is on SB Nation in its entirety, including the black and gold banneret. So make sure you check out the new Luke stuff on the feed there. And then, of course, Night Shift Podcast as well. Plus the Bolt Blitz Uncut, doing the thing, covering the Chargers with Buka Peters and Buck D. Got some excellent guests up and coming for that. Make sure you check all of that out. I think that's all the things. And listen, an honor, joy, and privilege to do the thing with all you all. So for my personal champion, Travis D. Holmes, is Kyle Nash, student of the game. And until next time, everyone, class dismissed.